everybody. I'm Trey Ratcliff. Thank you for watching live or for watching the recording. We've got all kinds of cool stuff today. I'm at the Google offices, and I'm here with Brian Rose.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, Brian. How are you? Brian runs the community for the photo side of Google. And we've spent today talking about all kinds of stuff, and we'll get to that. And we have all other kinds of people here in the Hangout. Let's see who is here before we kind of move on to the topics. Let's start with, how about you, Beau Kahler? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good. Tell us about you and your website and stuff.
I'm Beau Kahler. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm a photographer. My website is beaukahler.com. You can pretty much check out all my work on there.
Cool. Let's jump over to Sara Collaton. Hello, Sara. Tell us about you and where could we see more?
I'm a photographer based out of Toronto, and you can find my work online at saracollaton.com. Sara with no H. Awesome.
Okay, and we have Robert Scoble here, who is most people don't know that he is a photographer. That he's known for other things, but he is a serious photographer with his old film camera.
I brought my old Nikon out just for you.
What's going on, Scoble? Give us some scoop on you.
Not much. I just interviewed the company called Video, which made the video codec that went into Google Hangout, and that was pretty interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm processing that video while we're talking, and I'll have that up in 3 hours probably.
Cool. And the people can see your videos on building43.com?
Well, that one will be on YouTube, on Google Hangout, on Google Plus. So just watch my Google Plus, and you'll see.
Okay, it's a safe bet that everyone follows you already. So.
Nah. What's really funny is, like Tom Anderson, who you were hanging out with over the weekend, he's followed by 100 and something thousand people. And when I reshare his items, even 2 days later, I get like 500 likes of my own. And so it shows that, there's 30 million people on this service. And even though somebody's popular, they only have a very small number of people following them, out of the big.
Yeah.
Group.
I'd be curious to look at their social data. I'd like to see a Venn diagram of your overlap with Tom Anderson and how big is that overlap? Because maybe it's not as big as we think it is.
It's pretty big, but the one that's really interesting is the other guy who's on the top page. Hold on just a second. I'll tell you his name. Ray William Johnson. He's a comedian, and he doesn't follow a single person that I follow. And the people that are following him, very few of them are following me. It's almost like a completely different universe on Google Plus, and that's actually fascinating when you find somebody like that who's gathered a completely different universe from anybody that I touch, and you can tell something about that. I don't know what yet.
Cool. All right, let's jump over to Andrey. It looks like you threw on your sweet self-promotional 500px T-shirt, but I dig it. Tell us what you're about.
Yeah, that's right. It's so good to see you guys. Yeah, this is the T-shirt which we just produced. We're going to send out a bunch of them, so many people ask us about it, and I'm happy to finally get it. Yeah, I'm Andrey. I'm a photographer, and I'm one of the 500 Pixels team members.
Good. Well, you guys have a great website. I know almost all photographers know about you guys. Are you in your offices right now?
Yeah, that's right.
Your offices are awesome. They look like La Femme Nikita offices or something.
Actually, yeah, I've been fortunate enough. Ryerson University, which in Toronto, they provided for us free office space. And those guys, they created something which called Digital Media Zone. Basically, it's incubator for startups. We've got prime location in downtown Toronto. This is the view to Dundas Square. Basically, it's like Times Square in New York, but small one in Toronto. And the good part, it's completely free, which is awesome.
That's great. The price is right. It's worth it at twice the price.
Oh, yeah.
I was with 500px in the very, very beginning, back when I think 80% of the photos were like scantily clad Slovenian women. And so you guys have come a long way since.
Come on. It wasn't so bad.
There's nothing wrong with
still
that.
have that. I feel like fresh pigs. We had it first tries.
It wasn't so bad. Actually, we did have quite diverse photography on the website. But yeah, I was really happy to see you. And actually, we were chatting a bit over email. Like, I can tell you, I can confess, I never seen your work before we actually get in touch a few months ago. And it's so great to see, like, right now, all of you guys and you, Trey, as well. Yeah, fortunately, site is growing. We're getting more and more great photographers from all around the world. We're getting new styles. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting what you guys are doing. It's fantastic. So let's jump over to Dustin Meyer. Hey, Dustin, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I actually wasn't even planning on being a part of this hangout. I just saw it and was like, oh, I haven't seen Trey in a while, so I thought I'd jump in and say hi. But
cool.
Robert, I brought my camera too. And if I see you coming near it, man, I'm going to take you out. This is my baby. So I'm located in Austin, Texas, and I do mostly weddings and portraits. I also have a blog for photographers just to talk about business and stuff, impactphoto.com. However, I did get some good news today. They had written an article about me in the local Austin newspaper, and apparently the TV show Inside Edition heard about my senior portraits, so they're coming by on the 27th to follow me around while I do a senior portrait session to show the rest of the country, I guess, how we do senior portraits. So I was kind of excited about that.
Do you use that Diana for the senior portraits?
Sometimes, yes. But a lot of the times, though, we are shooting mostly Canon. I just thought I'd, make Robert jealous with my, $100 piece of plastic.
All right, cool. It's good to see you, Brian. All right, sorry, Dustin. Brian, you're next. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
Good. Give us the scoop on Brian Matiash.
Curriculum and education manager at On One Software, photographer for a long time. And just glad to be here again, see you guys, see a lot of familiar faces. And definitely happy to see Brian. I'm excited just at the topic alone. So.
Good. Well, we'll talk about all kinds of stuff, but if we don't touch on anything, you guys feel free to ask Brian a question. He is incredibly approachable. I'm always impressed. I think he just must sit around fielding questions all day.
Cool.
Hey, Shirley Lowe, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Trey? Good.
Tell us where we can find out more about you and your work.
Well, I guess Google Plus and also 500 pics, and we're a husband-wife team. There's my husband, pop in your head. And we do HDRs, landscapes, macros, and nature, and we're also a big fan of Trey's.
Cool. I saw a photo, I think, on your stream of you, either you or some Shirley Lowe impersonator, like jumping up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah, that's me.
That was an excellent photo.
Oh, thank you.
So, by the way, you and everyone else in here should put a link to your work or your portfolio or your blog or whatever you want to promote. Don't put it in the chat because only 9 people will see it, but put it in the post for this hangout so that that way, thousands of people can see instead of just a few. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss saying hello to anybody? I don't think so.
Hey, Trey.
What's up, Trey? Jacob Lucas. I'm sorry, Jacob. I missed you. You're
no worries,
right out there in the center square. Tell us about you.
Yeah, first, thanks for. I'm glad I could jump in here and make this one. It filled up pretty quick. But I live in Seattle, Washington right now. I'm a photographer out here. I do landscapes and urban architecture stuff, and I'm really enjoying a lot of the nighttime landscapes lately. The summer weather out here is good for that for about 2 or 3 months of the year. So I'm doing what I can right now. I'm sorry the light didn't treat you well when you were here. I apologize on behalf of my town.
It's okay. These things happen.
Yeah.
I ate my tears and they made me stronger.
You did have a good view from where you were staying, though. It was up on Queen Anne, right?
Yeah, I was over there in the Queen. That's a nice area over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's highfalutin living over there.
Yes, it is.
Hey, so since we have Brian here, he had told me when I came in, I didn't realize it, but there are all of these Google Plus photo walks that are being spawned all over the planet. And what he's been doing is Well, go ahead and tell them a little bit about that. I'll get this sticker ready to show them.
Yeah, definitely. So we had the photo walk last week with Trey. There's overwhelming response. We saw almost 200 people there. And I think that really encouraged a lot of people who weren't in the Bay Area to basically do their own, or try to show up what we were trying to do in Palo Alto. So there's, on Saturday, Alvin Toro, Christy Nielsen, Ashley West Leonard, they decided they were going to have their own photo walk in LA, walk through Little Tokyo, end up basically watch a concert together. And it just highlighted this really cool thing that Google Plus is helping people do, of connecting with other people who have similar interests, connecting with people who live in the same city. Also, Dave from Shoot Tokyo, he's also having a photo walk in Boston, and that's happening August 27th at 2 p.m. The LA photo walk is Saturday at 5 p.m. at the meeting at the Pinkberry in Little Tokyo. But it was just an amazing response. I think it's so cool that people are having these photo walks. And so I met Alvin in person just the other day, and Trey has a sticker to show you guys of what we gave Alvin. The idea is that we'd love to give these stickers away to more people. We just have to get them printed. But this is the photo that we had at the photo walk in Stanford, and that'll be at the photo walk in LA.
And so if people are organizing a decently sized photo walk, they can contact you plus Brian Rose, and you'll send them stickers and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'll
right?
definitely try to make that happen. Yeah, just plus mention me, or you can reach out to me through my Google Plus profile, Brian Rose.
Yeah, don't overpromise, but he'll do his best. Hey, I want to ask you something, Andrey, since you're on here from 500px. I was wondering this, and tell me if this has been your experience too. You know, I think it used to be in the old days that people would just kind of choose one photo service to put their stuff on. But now I see more and more people putting their stuff multiple places on the web. So, you know, it would be counterintuitive that all these people are coming to Google Plus and not to 500px. But actually, I bet what's happening is that people are finding more and more places to spread their stuff. And it's actually probably been a big boon for you guys. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right. And actually, I just did an interview a couple of hours ago. Somebody asked exactly the same question. And the thing is, the question was, hey, guys, how are you going to compete with Google? We're not going to compete with Google. Google Plus is one of the best products which I saw over the last couple of years. And actually, I encourage all our users to use Google Plus and promote their work on Google Plus. It's not instead, it's addition. And using multiple services will help you to get much more exposure. And once again, like no matter what service you're going to use, like you can compare 500 pixels to Flickr or Smagmark or like there's a bunch of services. But Google Plus, it's something which is you must use photographer in order to meet new people and get more exposure. We just don't compete with the service. We enjoy the service, and I encourage all our guys, like, hey guys, definitely use it. That's it.
His mic's messing up.
Sorry, I was muted. Hey, I agree with you, by the way. Robert, you've been putting a lot of photos up and that sort of thing. What do you think of the photo community, or do you have any thoughts for Brian Rose, since you have his full attention now? Something that you should bring to his attention, or you want to talk about?
No, I love it. I think one of the usage patterns I'm seeing evolve is photos and videos are much better and look better on Google Plus than on other social networks. One thing is I'd love to be able to pick the one that's going to be big, or maybe even have different kinds of layouts where I could have, one big photo and then maybe a couple smaller ones and then some really small ones. Some different sort of photo layouts where somebody like Trey can really put together a whole package and publish that all out as one post.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea.
I'll go through a whole list of all the stuff that we talked about today. It's sort of a big list, and I don't really want to. It'll take me a while to go through, but I think people would find it interesting to know that their concerns are being discussed, because as I discuss this stuff, there's a lot of nodding around the room. But tell people a little bit about kind of what you expected Google Plus to be, and how it actually turned out, and how you're kind of adjusting to these ever churning waters. What's it been like as a community manager?
Yeah, I mean, I thought originally I was just seeing a very biased view as the photos team community manager of seeing all these beautiful photos shared on Google+. But just talking to other people who are outside of my photography circle, I mean, you do hear a lot that photography is dominating the Google+ experience. That, like Scoble was mentioning, there's a lot of people sharing great photos and videos who aren't necessarily the pro photographers. And so, I mean, whatever we can do to make a more beautiful, richer media experience, whether it's photos or videos or what have you, I think that's definitely something that we'd like to work on and continue to work on. One thing I did want to touch on, though, is how people are sending us feedback. So Trey, you talked about how you had a post where you actually had a poll, essentially, with +1s so people could vote on their top feature requests. The other thing, too, is we have the send feedback links in Google+, which are a really great way to escalate not only issues, but any feature requests or suggestions you have. And one of the things that kept coming up on the photo walk is people mentioned to me if they knew that I knew about a feature request or a suggestion, then they didn't send it to us via send feedback. And that does sound, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but the way that we're using send feedback is almost like an internal poll or a private tally. So we do look at how many people are asking for a specific feature. So please keep those feature requests coming, because we do count and keep track of how many people ask for a certain thing. And that's how we help prioritize what we want to work on first.
So before we go through this list, as long as we have like live humans in this Hangout, let's just ask a few people what would they like to see in Google Plus for photos, or what's broken for them that's really bothering them. How about you, Sara? Is everything all rainbows and unicorns for you, or would you like to see something special?
I guess the main thing would be being able to choose which album to post through any way you're planning to post the photos. So whether you're on the main page or if you're choosing to upload a new photo, when you're there, you can do your drop down for the different albums. But specifically, like while I'm on my iPhone, it's just going to photos from posts, I believe.
Okay. How about you, Brian? What's your? Do you have any hot button issues?
I mean, for the most part, I follow a pretty typical MO of how I post my image. I'll only post usually one image at a time. I made a kind of a conscientious effort to create I guess like a best of. That's one of the nice things about Google Plus, is it gives a lot of us an opportunity to kind of revisit older photos. And so I'll post it, I'll just hit the photo button at the top. I'll hit upload new photo, basically the sticker you had, and that will create the one image post with the nice large thumbnail. And then I'll put context with it in the text area. Little things that it does, none of it really, I'd never really have much issue, but it would be cool to have things like optional EXIF information if the EXIF is available, just to display it. And the ability to actually title the images and have the titles kind of displayed. Little things like that. For the most part, I think it's very subjective to how the photographer intends to use it. For me, it kind of fits the bill. Once I figured out how to get I get that question asked a lot, actually, more than any other question. How do I get an individual image to show up as a new post in an existing album? So it may not be the most intuitive process.
Yeah. Well, I was just watching Brian. He wrote down everything you said, and beside it in all caps, he wrote low priority.
Story of my life.
So sorry about that, Brian. That's really too bad.
Some you win and some you lose.
Not at all. We do have EXIF info that's in Actions photo details, but are you looking for additional EXIF info?
No, displayed inline.
Oh, inline.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing how often people ask you for EXIF info, isn't it?
The problem. That's pretty much why I would like it.
In fact, I don't like the question artistically.
I don't like it either,
because it indicates that there is a proper EXIF.
Right.
When really there's many combinations of ISO and aperture and all that sort of stuff that could achieve the same kind of look. So anyway, that's a done-up discussion.
Right. But it is a question I get asked pretty often.
Yeah.
Like, what are the settings here?
I get that asked all the time. It's just annoying, I guess, at this point.
Well, it doesn't really annoy me at all, really. But I think it is confusing for people to even find the EXIF. So that's clearly an issue.
Well, it seems like a de facto question to ask when they see an image. They're like, well, what's your EXIF information? I mean, it might be images that you and I typically post. A lot of that information is typically irrelevant, like shutter speed, because we often derive it from multiple images. But things like aperture or ISO or even date, I wouldn't mind sharing that information if it can be automatically displayed without me having to do anything other than posting the image.
Right.
Because I even see Lisa Bettany, like when she'll post an image, she actually types out the EXIF info, and to me, that's something that's out of the question. I just won't do it.
Yeah, you're too elitist, Brian.
Way too elitist. Way too elitist. I mean, look at me.
I feel like
You got your Webelos patch and everything, dude.
You know.
With a lot of the HDR stuff, I feel like a lot of people ask me like my exact processing methods, and it's just like my workflow for each photo. And I don't want to. It's like every photo is different, you know. I do different things for each one, and it's kind of hard to explain it to
yeah, well, they understand. I think generally that we're busy, and they're just curious. You know, they're not being demanding. They're just curious. And that's really good, I think. So here's kind of the list of everything that we talked about today, and I'm not going in any necessary order, but there is one thing that I talked about a lot, and there's all these little things, right, that we're all dealing with, but this is sort of a big revolutionary thing, and I think that Google has a chance to blow Getty out of the water, because what Getty does on Flickr is they take 80% of every sale, and that's just, you know, it's egregious. They should be ashamed of themselves. And so what Google could do, of course, is most businesses in the world, they don't go to iStock Photo or Flickr. They just do a Google image search. And if they could click a little checkbox there that says, only show me images for sale, and then, you know, all of us that are on Google Plus or using Picasa, if we could put a checkbox on the album and say everything in here is for sale, and you go through and set the prices, and then buyers would just have a super simple process where they could use Google Checkout or whatever other text they have, and do a 70-30 split in the same way the App Store does it for Apple, in the same way Amazon does it, where the creator gets 70% and the distribution mechanism keeps 30%. I think it'd be a huge boon for photographers. I think we would have tens or hundreds of thousands of people coming over this way because, of course, that's what the internet does, is it disintermediates these inefficient middlemen. And I think it would just free photographers artistically, because right now I know, like, maybe some of you guys, I don't know for sure, but I know a lot of photographers really struggle with how to take something they love and make money off of it. And it's ridiculous that they have to struggle so hard. And I think the reason is because they're getting robbed by Getty, or iStock Photo has just made it so hard for so many people to make money. There's the exceptions like Nicole Young, but she's like in the top 1% of the top 1%. But for the most part, I think it'd be a boon for photographers, and they would really love Google if they could put something like that together.
Well, I definitely think that it would mean that photographers would start updating all their metadata when they're exporting images from Lightroom to be more accurate. That way, you know, because that data gets crawled all the time, and so we use it as a marketing means to get advertising out for our studio, like Austin Wedding Photographer, Austin Senior Portraits. We put those in the meta tags when we export, or actually when we import the images, along with our copyright. And I mean, just like you were saying, take out the middleman and use a tool that people are already using for anything else, and just use it so that they can find the images they need for the job that they need.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting. Scoble, have you ever thought about that kind of stuff? I actually first discussed that idea with Thomas Hawk. He does the Getty thing, and he does all right. He makes, thousands of dollars a month or whatever, but still, that's only 20% of what he could be making.
Yeah, I've gone the other way. All my photos are in the public domain, and I don't try to monetize the images themselves. I try to monetize other things about what I do.
Well, you could monetize, maybe.
I could. I mean, I've had some interesting images that have been on CNN and stuff, and I just choose by giving them away freely. It's sort of the new music model versus the old music model. By giving them away freely, I build a brand as somebody who builds media. In fact, one guy today was here, and at the beginning of the interview, he goes, do I have to pay for this? And I'm like, dude, no, but they're so used to having to pay to be in the trade magazines.
Yeah.
This is an enterprise company, and they're so used to having to pay to get into the usual trade magazines. And so I've just gone the other way, and I get into violent arguments with photographers about it. And you're hurting the ability for photographers to make money. And it's like, no, my work's not going to mess with yours.
Yeah. Well, you could still do what you want to do through, like I do, Creative Commons, so anyone can use them for news purposes or personal purposes, but just non-commercial, and that still makes them available for sale as stock.
I go even further. The day I went, I said I'm giving them completely over the public domain. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to give me credit. You don't have to do anything. All my images showed up on Wikipedia all over the place, and almost all of them were with credit. And wow, that's an interesting human behavior. We want to give people credit for work, right? Even if they don't ask for it. And that helps me build a brand and gets me invited to things, right? Because they know at least I'll be giving away the images. I get invited to shuttle launches and stuff because they know I'll take pictures and I'll put them up and share them, and they'll get republished and reused, and bloggers will be able to take them and make more use of that media, right? And I've built a brand around that, and that's different than if I was doing it professionally, I guess. But
yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I have a sponsor. Really, I'm a full-time employee of Rackspace, and my gift from Rackspace to the world. It's like they pay me. It's just Rackspace sponsors me. Everybody knows that, and as a public face of the company, I get paid a lot of money, and so that's my business model. Other people have a different business model. It's cool. My work's never going to mess with anybody else's work. I mean, I can't do what you do. You do magic, man.
No, well, that's nice of you to say. You understand.
It's true, dude. Come on. When your images show up on my Plus account, it's like I can tell it's a Trey image without even looking at the name. It's like it has this look to it. This icon. You have an iconic eye. It's like, when you walk into some gallery, you can pick out an Ansel Adams image. It's just iconic.
No. Okay.
And,
enough about me. Let's talk about me.
But I'm not going to talk about what Adams does. I don't do what you do. I don't do what Thomas Hawk does. I do my own thing, and sometimes I get lucky and get a great image, but it's not what you guys do.
Well, let's talk about all the other things, like the more practical UI type things, and I know all of us think about so on and so forth. So one of them that got the most votes was better photo album management. Like if they could do something for UI photo management that is as smooth as what they did for circles, that would be great, and that's something that's on your agenda. Also, very similar to that is have a consistent UI across everything, because right now the Picasa UI is just different than Lightbox UI, and I think that all could be much smoother. You hear this a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Something else that I didn't initially have in my poll, but I left some open slots to see what people really talked about. And one of the most common things is people wanted to be able to very easily take a single photo from an album and share it with the world. There's a workaround for this. I put it up, but it's like a 7-step workaround. It's not quite as smooth as it could be. Another one is sort of circle-specific photo sharing. Right now you can kind of set the visibility on a whole album, but you can't set it on a particular photo. So they're thinking about that. There's a lot of issues but they know that people want to do that. Another big one is that, right now when I or anybody post a photo, the post collects comments, but those comments are disconnected from the photo, right? So the post can get comments and the photo gets comments. And I've tried to make a strong case that that's incredibly messy and sloppy, and that all these people are really talking about the photo in many cases. Yes, you can use a photo to be discussing something else entirely, but for the most part, especially for photographers, the kind of comments people collect are attached to that photo. And I think they should forever be attached to that photo, and it looks like many other people think like that too. Another thing we discussed is having a simple import from SmugMug or Flickr or Zenfolio or all these places, because it's a pain for me, and I know it's a pain for a lot of you guys because you have your stuff in other places. And as much as you might be interested in Google+, you're like, oh my God, I don't have time to move my stuff over to...
No, and even just for grabbing a single image, it's really a pain in the ass from Flickr, because I have 3,000, 4,000 photos over in Flickr, and grabbing one, you sort of have to open it up in a high resolution, then you have to save it to your desktop, then you have to upload it to Google+, et cetera, et cetera. It's not very click. It would be nice to just click on it and say, put this on my Google+ feed.
Yeah, but isn't that an API thing, and that's not out yet, right, Brian?
An API would help third-party developers fix this problem, right? Yeah.
But we're still waiting for that to get released. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's no current API today.
Okay. That was just curiosity.
Okay.
I guess part of me is hoping that it somewhat takes the 500 pixels approach of people just uploading. Like, that makes me shudder. And I'm just gonna. I'm pontificating, but for people to just regurgitate thousands and thousands of images from source A to source B is freaks me out. Like, one of the things that I love about 500 pixels is that people really feel compelled to post their best stuff, and I try to follow that same logic specifically with my Google Plus profile. I have a blog. I had a Flickr account that I closed, and I have my 500 pixel account, and I would love to see just the best of the best with photography with Google Plus, because how cool would it be to have a social media component to extremely strong photography? I see the need for, there are people who definitely fit into that category, and you have Thomas, who's very prolific with posting, his millions of shots. But I would love to see people be much more prudent, and by that, it is kind of nice that you have, it's not the easiest way to do it, but it does give people point to think, oh, what should I be putting up here, not uploading en masse. But that's just me. Still,
I'd like to solve it on the other side. Let people upload whatever they want, but let me filter.
Right.
Let me filter and say, only show me photos from Trey that get 100+ ones.
Okay, I dig. Yeah. That I dig a lot.
Because that way, if somebody's really noisy like Thomas Hawk, only his best stuff will get through that filter, and that would be really cool.
That's one of the best things I think I've heard so far. Being able to create galleries based on filtration would be ridiculously sick.
Yeah, especially if you could apply it to a circle, because it would be really cool to apply it to a circle, because I already have a really good circle of photographers, and it's growing every day as I've seen new ones that you guys are all talking about. And it'd be really cool to say, on that circle, only show me stuff that's a photo. I don't want to see all the other crap you guys talk about. And number two, show me things that only have, let's say, +10 likes, +10 10+1. Sorry, I'm going back to Facebook lingo here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And actually, I'm looking towards the same functionality. I get a bunch of photographers today who I follow, and I even have like a really small circle which I call great photographers. And even with this circle, it would be great to have some filter when I can actually see only the best of the best posts. You probably won't be able to do it 500 pixels way when you actually limit people number of pictures which people can upload. Because once again, let's see, right now all of us were here photographers, but in a couple of months, there's going to be like so many people who actually want to upload like 200 pictures from last night party, and you cannot stop these people, and actually you shouldn't. people should be able to do it. Google Plus, it's pretty mass project. So at the same time, yeah, definitely would be great to see some filters or what your friends.
Well, I mean, one thing I really love about 500px is the community that you have there, or the understanding that the community has, that you're only uploading your best photos. You're not uploading the 500 wedding photos to 500px. And it's not something that you're enforcing through the software. It's just that's how the community works. And I think with Google Plus, we're so focused on the nuance sharing that you can do both. If you want to just use it to share to public and your extended circles, your best of album, share one photo at a time, you can do that. Or if you want to take your 50 wedding photos and share that just with your family circle, your family might want to see all 50 photos, whereas the public, they don't care about that. So I think you can do both, and I just don't want to tell people this is how you should use Google Plus, because there's so many different ways that you could use it, and there's so many users that, I think we can coexist is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, particularly for news events. Remember, we're talking mostly about art photography, but if I'm out at a news event and I see a building burning down or something like that, you want to see more photos than normal from that event, and they should all be tagged in some way so that you can filter those out as well. And don't show me Scoble's news photos, show me only his portraits, or only show me his art photos or whatever.
And I think a good extension of that is taking the concept of everyone uploading everything en masse, and then also the photographs that people want to share as their best of. Right now, there's only the ability to add a photo into one album, but if you think of it more of like the circles and friends analogy, how you can put friends into different photos and then upload a bunch to one album and then say, oh, now I want to take this one single one which I think is the best, and then share that one on its own with maybe in a different album that is my best of or my favorite photos.
Well, this is also go back to a previous comment. I'd love to have more packages of photos. I want to pick one as my best photo of the day, maybe, like at a photo walk or something like that. But I want to have smaller ones underneath. And then if I'm at a news event where there's stuff that's happening and changing, I don't want to keep having to post new posts. Why can't I post photos almost like a comment underneath and keep updating that post all during the day and keep adding on photos underneath there so you can see a news event that's changing or a conference or something, but I don't have to spam the shit out of you by posting, more and more posts just to get another photo of another speaker or something like that.
It almost sounds like there's a need for smart collections based on filtration, based on what Jacob and Scoble just said. Like not only so from Scoble's side, it's almost like I would, as the viewer, would want to actively create a filtered based wall of photos that are displayed. But as the photographer, as the owner of the assets, I would love to have a gallery that is smart filter based. So as an image accrues X amount of, say, comments or X amount of plus ones, automatically populate into this gallery, and that's the gallery I will share to public, whereas everything else sits behind a wall of filtration. And that's kind of like how Lightroom and Aperture works, and I love it. Smart Collection is one of the best things in the world, in my opinion, because it helps me understand exactly what I'm a Smart Collection nut, and so to have that in Google Plus would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be cool. Hey, I'm going to let Brian talk about some of these other things. I'm going to go get coffee from their little kitchen. Let me know if I can get you guys anything. I went to one of these little micro kitchens. They have them all over Google, and they have all these little goodies and snacks and whatever in there. And Lisa Bettany just cleaned that place out. She put all this stuff in her purses. I mean, it was ridiculous. She's like, it's like a dragnet going through that thing. Okay.
So if you need me to get that stuff back for you, just let me know, and I'll stick it all in my suitcase, and I'll bring it to you.
Okay. So here's these are little things that I know you're working on, and so just talk through those.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the other things that Trey had wanted us to talk about when he came, both last week when he was talking with our Mountain View team, or today talking to our Santa Monica team, definitely things like the name tagging or being able to tag similar to Flickr, where you can say this is nice bokeh or you really like this lens flare. resolution issues with people wanting to upload higher than 2048, because we do auto downsize any photo larger than that to 2048 pixels. Creative Commons licensing, which is something you can do today through Picasa Web, but it's not native in Google+. And again, this one's probably one of the most popular requests, but being able to +1 a single photo from Lightbox, being able to share a single photo from Lightbox, and then some other people talking about basically issues with video uploading. So we spent, more than an hour today and then a couple hours last week in Mountain View just going through all the feedback that the community has given us, going through the feedback that especially Trey and other pro photographers have given us. And what's interesting to see is that the pro photographer community definitely has a different set of feature requests than the, I'd say just our average user base. And what we're trying to do is balance the feature requests that we're seeing from both sets of users, see how that fits in line with some features that we already have on our roadmap that we've been thinking about, and then just deciding where we should go from here. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, definitely keep sending us your feedback through the send feedback links, even if you think we've heard it before. And our team just wants everyone to know that we're listening, we're very engaged, and these are very early days. We know there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we're really excited by the initial feedback that we've received. And yeah, we're definitely anxious to get started working on more cool features.
That was great, Brian, whatever you just said. So here's a few other things. And this is, I guess this is a little bit different than what you were saying, Robert, but this got a lot of responses on there. Allow people to collect favorite photos of others in some sort of a personal or public gallery they can make. Another one, and this, Scott Kelby jumped into the thread, and he had an idea that to have much better statistics for the photo and for the post. Kind of like on Facebook, I can look on our little fan page or whatever and look at impressions. And because to me, one of the secret things that people really like to know is how many times is their photo actually viewed. And that's very hard to find right now in Google+, because I think we all get excited by comments and +1s, but those are just a mere shadow of how many times your photo is actually viewed. And that can be a huge number, and that's very exciting to beginner photographers and amateur and even pro photographers, because you just like to know that your stuff is being viewed, and so that's kind of even lost right now.
Is that even visible right now?
It is. You have to go into Picasa and look on the bottom. It's sort of a light gray font.
So it's not within Google Plus itself. It's Picasa. Okay.
No,
right.
That's definitely a top feature request and something that we should work on.
That's one thing that I was going to bring up tonight. I wanted some, analytics of photos. I want to see how many people have seen it, because then you can compare how many people have seen it then to how many people have actually +1 or shared it or commented on it.
Yeah. I was also telling Trey that it might help inform you what kinds of photos that people who are following you really like to see, and maybe what kinds of photos you might want to take. So, for example, if I upload an HDR photo and it has 10 times more views than anything else that I've posted, maybe HDR photos are what I should post.
That never happened.
Don't tell Trey that.
Never.
Actually, what about all right, so obviously the name of the game, let's not mince words, is to get as many people visiting Google Plus, spending their free hours on Google Plus. And for me, this was a thought that came to my mind yesterday. I was actually going to post a topic on my wall just to get people's opinions, but for me, my blog is very much photocentric. It's pretty much a photo every day with context, and I try to recreate that on my wall. What about creating more of a blogging organism? Not quite a blog itself, but something that is reminiscent of a blog, that is a bit more tangible and almost archival, because right now the only way you get to see it is you go to someone's wall, and I don't know how far back you guys actually cache and let people see the wall, but I never post an image. I post an image with context. I try to, at least. And so that it becomes a bit slower Twitter message. It has a lifespan. The lifespan is the visibility of X amount of pixels on your browser. So it would be cool to, because I would love an opportunity to just, the blog itself is confined within my domain. But within my G+ profile, I have, thousands and thousands of people. It is proven, it's empirical, that I get X many more comments, and there's a dialogue, and it's actually really organic compared to the blog. And so that's what I want. I don't want a one-way cardinality. I would love to have, a traffic of back and forth. Google Plus provides that, but still there's not that sense of I don't know, of blogging. It seems like I post an image, has a lifespan of X amount of time, it's gone. And not even the image. It's almost the context around the image that I care more about.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to have lunch with Scott Jarvie today. He came over to...
Oh, yeah. How was Jarvie?
Yeah, he's doing great. It was great to meet him, too.
Yeah.
But he had the same feedback, that he has his content on G+. It has a finite lifespan, that he sees a lot of engagement, within the first few hours, and it really dives off. And it's hard to find posts right now. So if he posted a really good story about a photo, but he did it 2 weeks ago, it isn't that easy to go back and then find that post to reshare it or send a link to someone. And
Right.
so what he's doing now is, he mentioned basically copying all that content from his post and putting that into a blog post.
The world of
for
Jarvie.
archival purposes. And
Right.
so that there is that permanence. And one
What
of the
about-
things we talked about is maybe he could still have his blog, but kind of use Google Plus as almost like the read more intro, where on Blogger
Yes.
you can have that read more link, and then
Sure.
basically after the jump you can have the additional content. So
Yep.
you can post just copy and paste the first paragraph, and then if you want to read more, here's the link to my blog post.
Right.
And I think that's a little bit of what we're trying to do with the snippet. If you do link today to like a permalink post on your blog,
Right.
you get that little thumbnail and you get that brief intro. But working to make that more useful is definitely, I think, we could still continue to improve that.
Sure. I'm actually, I'm giving 100% credit to Nicole Young, because I'm actually instant messaging with her right now. And she had an awesome idea in terms of creating an RSS feed per profile, which as soon as she said it, I'm like, that's beautiful, because that, in essence, I mean, most people use Reader to get their news and get follow. Like, I have my blog. I don't go to people's blogs anymore. I go through Reader, and if they're not on Reader, then I'm probably not going to follow them. So how cool would it be to have your G+ feed, or somehow create a feed solely if you could tag a post. Imagine if I could tag a post that's a photo blog entry, and only create an RSS feed of those. That would be pretty cool, because that would essentially relieve me of having to have a blog, because I'm maintaining multiple systems, and we're moving away from how many hits does your website have to how many followers do you have, how many circles are you in, and that's the new metric, I think, and that's what I'm trying to focus on. I really don't care, but my blog is self-sufficient. I try to create a new image every day on it with context, but I'm more excited about putting the new post on Google Plus, to be totally honest.
And why is it? Because you get more engagement, or?
Because I care about the engagement. I mean, I'm happy with my images. I feel confident that my images are strong, but I love the interaction. That to me is more. It's worth more than the image itself, almost. Because it's just fun. People are looking to become better photographers, and if there's something that resonates about your image with them, why not talk to them about it? Don't go to your blog.
Yeah, it's not just photography. For the last 6 weeks, I haven't blogged very much, because it's just more fun to get that kind of feedback and interaction and iteration that you get when a lot of people are willing to comment and +1 and link to you and then link to themselves and tell you about their thing. It's a lot of fun.
That's actually something else that I wanted to ask. I put it in the chat feed, but more about geolocation or GPS coordinates within the EXIF data, because Brian earlier had talked about finding ways to add more of that data to the image, but is there any ideas as far as taking geolocation from an image and maybe somehow incorporating that into the Google Maps interface, where maybe someone's trying to plan a trip somewhere, and they can look at satellite view and they can look at street view, but how cool would it be if it also had a link or thumbnails of images that had the GPS that fell right in line with that, location that they were looking at. And then, of course, if they're looking at a particular image, then it would say what Google Plus user had posted that image, and if they wanted to +1 it or leave a comment on it, then that would feed back into their album on Google Plus. I feel like it's almost now you're crowdsourcing for more imagery that Google Plus users are generating for Google itself to create a much more immersive environment, specifically for people that are trying to come up with what to do when they travel, or what does a place really look like besides just what they see on a satellite view map.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I think you will talk about geotagging, but we only have about 5 minutes left. He has to leave at 7 Pacific time. I don't know what he has to do. I think he has a second job at LeBaire. But anyway, go ahead and answer that question about geotagging.
Yeah, I definitely think one of the other top requests I keep hearing is, why don't we just integrate with Panoramio, or if there's ways that we can just, share those photos and get those also visible on Street View or Google Maps and things like that. And I think those are all really cool ideas. I think that's something for our team to definitely think more about. One of the things that I did want to do too is kind of building off this photo walk idea that we had talked about earlier, is if there were locations that just didn't have up-to-date Street View data or didn't have Street View photos, period, it would be kind of cool to lead a photo walk there, have people, take photos to kind of replicate what the Street View camera would see. Say if you were at like Santa Monica, the beach boardwalk, or on the promenade where you can't have cars drive up and down, and then upload those to G Plus or Panoramio and help basically create these photo projects where you're really helping connect photographers who live in the same place, who basically are helping create a purpose larger than just taking photos, but also helping people who, like you were mentioning, just looking for basically.
It's a good idea. Was that your idea?
I think that's the internet's idea. I just give credit to everyone.
Yeah, that was too good of an idea to be yours.
Ouch.
You should have seen some of these suggestions. We were trying to get the Google Hangout going, and I was trying to get invites going, and he goes, "Why don't you try this?" I said, "Brian, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard." But I think he probably does have good ideas. Hey, Keith, are there any questions humming around the chat room for people watching the live stream? I don't want to ignore all those nice people.
Well, you hit on a couple, the comments and being able to set the large image in a portfolio post on the Google Plus feed. Tagging got mentioned, being able to tag your photos and have those tags searchable within the Google Plus environment. And then I had a general question about, does any of this impact the mobile app? Should there be improvements to the mobile app or not?
Yeah, should any of the updates that we're making on photos, will those be incorporated into the mobile app?
Yeah, should sharing photos be viewable and easier on the mobile app?
Definitely.
What kind of activity do you see from mobile? Is it mostly is like 90% on the web? Because that's my experience on the web. But what are you seeing in the stats?
Well, I'm not a specialist on the mobile side, and I'm not too certain. But I have heard that there's so much development on the Android and iOS app that basically just stay tuned. There's a lot of cool stuff coming.
Awesome. That was awesomely vague but exciting.
I've been trained well by our PR team.
Yeah, you have been trained well by the PR team. So we got a little bit of time left. Do you guys have any final questions for the mustachioed man here?
What are your plans to kill Facebook?
Just come out with it, Brian. Jeez.
Come right out with it.
It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. What I
want to see what your PR training has done.
One photo at a time.
Next question, please.
I think you're breaking up. It must be a poor connection. But,
totally understood. Totally understood.
No comment.
Hey, Shirley, you've been so quiet. Oh, go ahead, Brian. All right.
No, that's Robert.
Scoble.
The question isn't a good one, because if you're going to kill something, you have to do something completely crazy that doesn't seem important today. but in 2 or 3 years is going to be dramatically important. And Hangouts is one, right? That's not a reaction to Facebook. It didn't get copied. It was its own thing. And I hope Google goes in its own path and finds its own way to thrill us, really.
Hey, Scoble, how would you? What are 3 things you would like to see added to Hangouts?
Oh, geez.
More than 10 people.
Well, ability to publish straight to YouTube Live, which means I need YouTube Live.
I agree with that. You know anyone at Google that can hook us up, Brian?
I was at YouTube last week, and they're working on it. They're working on it.
Better notifications.
Yeah. You guys gave YouTube Live to Michael Mozart. If you give it to that guy, you got to hook up Scoble.
Yeah. Well, notifications is a whole. There's a whole range of things on Google Plus that I call noise control, and that is control of what shows up on my screen and tries to get my attention. A lot of what we've been talking about are those kinds of things. Oh, Thomas Hawk posts too many photos, so can I filter them in some way? Or can I put all the photos into one stream so I can see photos without all the other stuff that people, do? Like Tom Anderson, he posts animated GIFs, and then he posts a good photo once in a while, and he posts a video. I might only want to see his videos. I might not want to see all of his other stuff. And then notifications is totally broken for me. I need to be able to tell the notifications window what I want to see in there, and also how to really, when people are trying to talk to me specifically in a private chat, like a DM kind of thing, that needs to be separate from people who just are following me and stuff like that. And I could go on for hours about noise control and signal amplification, and that's going to be Google's biggest challenge. And if they can do it well, that's how they're going to make Twitter and Facebook even less relevant than they are.
Robert, how much do you think that concern of yours is because you're in sort of an elite bubble where a bunch of people are following a bunch of people? I worry that 70% of people on Google Plus can't find enough people to follow, and they just go to and see noise control isn't the problem.
That's such a
They're
great
having
point.
trouble finding interesting people to follow.
Yes and no, because the other side of noise control is signal amplification, and if I can make it so that I can amplify the good people, that's a way you're going to find more and more and more people. And for instance, right now, if you're a new user, if you just sign up for a Gmail account and come into Google Plus with nobody, it suggests, I think it might even still suggest Mark Zuckerberg as one of the people you should follow. Well, has he put any value into Google Plus? No, he hasn't even posted yet. So why is, and Vic knows this, the team knows this, there's all sorts of examples at every stage of the product where Google has not thought about yet noise control, signal amplification, and it's not just for the A-list users. It affects even a beginner user. My wife looked at this and said, this is too noisy, I don't want noise, and I have enough noise in my life, I'm not even going to try it. And if you can show her that, hey, this is going to be very, very calm and very high value stuff, then more people will come in. And photography is one of those things that captures people's eye. If I can filter out and just present great photos to people, that's going to get more people to try this, because it's really thrilling to see this stuff streamed down your screen.
But it almost feels like it's something that's on Google as well to do, to be able to filter, because you're saying on you, Robert, that's kind of you filter or Trey filters or someone shares. But if
this
Google,
is going to be a philosophy. Google has to get a philosophy here.
Agreed.
Facebook has a philosophy of you're going to see stuff from the people that you care about, and the algorithms that they wrote at Facebook are showing you things. If I come over and visit your profile, I'll start seeing more things from you. Why? I don't want to see more things from you. I just wanted to check out your profile, and it has this whole system that knows, if I start DMing you for some reason, I'm just going to start seeing more of your family photos. I didn't want that, and people don't understand how it works. I understand it, but normal people don't understand how it works. They just know that stuff shows up and they don't really know why. Right now, in fact, today they were talking. Facebook is filtering out any of the Google Plus invites. It's like nobody knows why that stuff gets filtered out or how it gets filtered out, or it's just there's stuff on your homepage and you don't know how it gets there. But I hope Google takes a philosophy of give us control. And by the way, we have a really good template for this. It's called Gmail, right? I've written more than 1,000 filters for my Gmail to do various things. If Trey writes me, it gets a different color than when the rest of you write me, right? Or I can throw it into a folder, or I can throw it in the trash. And algorithmically, I can write these really nice filters. If I can do that for brands and for people like me, and I can show people what kind of beauty is coming through every day without seeing the noise, that's going to really take this off.
Actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to really take off of that, just specifically with the word brand, and this is totally self-serving for me. So we're all talking about us posting to our albums and disseminating to our people, our people who are interested in us. But what I would love to do, and I'm trying to, it kind of actually, when Trey yesterday kind of posted to his inner circle about best practice of how to garner interest in certain comments, I'm a big fan of contests, of photo contests, and I would love the ability to somehow have people be able to target an album. And I don't know if this was discussed, and I apologize if this was brought up somehow or this is already in the works, but not only I can target your album, Brian, or Trey's album because he has a sponsored contest. I would love to sponsor contests all the time. There is no really good way, but not only sponsored, have either the +1 system, which is already inherent in Google Plus, a voting metric. So I think that would be fantastic. You open it up to X circles or the public, and anyone can, and moderation of the photos that has to come along with it. So I would love that opportunity, not just for me to disseminate, but for people to disseminate to me because there's a vested interest.
And
he's going to write that down low priority also.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, why would he want to give
the idea of groups and contests, and there's so much that could be done. I think they're as excited as we are. I mean, he's a pretty mild-mannered, introverted, quiet guy, but I know he's as excited as all of us
Not
are.
if he's sporting a mustache like that. I don't think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, you're asking for it with that kind of stash, man. I love it.
Right, one of the last questions. So, are we going to see Buy This Picture feature by the end of this year?
Are we going to see which feature?
Buy This Picture.
Buy the picture.
Oh, Buy This Picture.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, Thomas Hawk has talked about this. Trey has brought this up multiple times. It's definitely a good idea that I think we should look into. But we don't comment on timeline or roadmap. There's my PR training kicking in.
And this is what will happen when the API comes out. I mean, this is a book done by Keepsy from my Instagram photos, right? And it's all photos from my iPhone, but it's actually very beautiful. And, I could see doing this kind of stuff from, Google Plus, and getting a book that's done like this is just really
Robert,
beautiful.
you want a Google Plus scrapbook? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think people want printed stuff, and for all sorts of reasons. I know conferences that at the end of the conference, they hand you a book of all the photos that their photographers took, and it's really great. And certainly for family, if you're really going to get your family in here, and if Google really does take over some of the Facebook mentality, you're going to want to print photos and do things with them. You're going to want to put them on the wall. I mean, I have a photo of myself up here that somebody printed out and sent me, and Chris Craig photo.
Are you doing blue steel in the photo?
No. It's my it's my usual.
Okay.
So, actually, that the lady who did the graphic designer for the Fail Whale, the Twitter Fail Whale, she started this company to do all sorts of graphics. She did the Rackspace graphics for me and the little Twitter graphics and a lot of fun stuff. And there are stickers that stick to the wall. It's really nice.
All right. That's incredible, Robert. All right, guys. Okay, guys. Well, we got to go. Brian's got to go put on his tearaway costume for the festivities later. And it's nice talking to you guys and hearing what you have to say. And
thanks for taking the time, Brian.
I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Really great meeting.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome to
Please
see you.
keep your feedback coming. And yeah, we're listening and very interested to hear in everything you have to say. So
What a fabulous
not just
mustache.
the praise, because we've been getting an overwhelming amount of praise, which is awesome and not what I'm used to. But also tell us, what issues you're seeing or what critical features that we just don't have yet, and we'll work to make that happen.
Well, I think one of the
Cheers.
critical things is that Hangouts are a very important feature, and it's very easy to miss them. They got to be better in the notifications or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
And if here comes
See you, dude. That rocked.